Hey, welcome back, Tigers, to another episode of Newswave. My name is Kyle Anderson, and today is April 23rd, 2021, and here are your top stories. Back in March, Vice President Tess Coody Anders sent out a campus-wide email stating that the university was waiting for the state of Texas to allocate vaccines to them. After a long wait, the Trinity community received word that the first dose of the Pfizer vaccine will be given to 800 staff, faculty, and students who sign up. April 7th to April 9th, Trinity's COVID team distributed 800 doses, and recipients made their second dose appointment immediately after getting their first dose. As Trinity's community increasingly gets vaccinated, the school looks ahead to resuming normalcy in the fall semester. Just recently, Tess Coody Anders announced that Trinity is expecting to receive more of the Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson vaccines in the coming weeks. With graduation getting closer and closer, many seniors are getting excited to walk across the stage. In case you missed Devan Karp chatting with the seniors about their excitement, here's another look.
Well, as you can see, I'm standing at the football field behind me where the spring 2021 graduation commencement ceremony is going to be held. Last Wednesday, Trinity University President Danny Anderson announced this through an email to all of Trinity. The ceremony is going to be divided into two parts. At 8 a.m., students will be able to receive their Bachelor's of Arts in Music, and at 11 a.m., students will be able to receive their Bachelor's of Science. Students are going to have 4 ticketed members each, which they can bring to watch the ceremony. It will also be held virtually through a live streaming event where students are going to be able to see if they're not tuned in person. For the graduation ceremony at 3 p.m., students are going to be able to be in person at Laurie Auditorium, as the number of graduate students meets the requirements for social distancing.
I think that it is a good opportunity to see everyone and see so many professors in person.
Daniela John, a communications and English double major, is excited at the prospect of a traditional graduation.
It feels nice to be considered because I feel like seniors have kind of been an afterthought a lot this year.
It's definitely relieving to kind of have a definite plan.
Parker Lacey, a computer science major, tells us how he plans to use his 4 tickets to the commencement.
My parents are already vaccinated, and my fiance as well. So they're all 3 planning on coming, and will definitely be 3 of those tickets.
Just because the event may be happening, that doesn't mean that these seniors are without their own concerns about the weather or if they'll even be able to attend in the first place.
Obviously, the weather is going to be something that we'll have to factor in. I'm sure it will be hot, but
I'm going to wait to see when they send out the final notice and just take in consideration how Texas is doing and the vaccination rates and stuff like that. And if it does feel safe enough, it is something that I will consider going to.
Overall, seniors seem pretty happy to be able to have this ceremony in person. After all, it's really monumental. For Newswave 14, I'm Devan Karp.
Tigerthon, a nonprofit organization established at Trinity University with a goal every year to raise funds and support sick and injured children in the San Antonio area, raised more than $25,000 in donations. Executive Director of Tigerthon, Logan Musica, detailed that they work with Children's Hospital of San Antonio and receive support from the Children's Miracle Network. The success of Tigerthon's fundraising is closely related to the efforts of the organization and participants. Tigerthon's organized a lot of challenges like dyeing hair and recording TikTok dances. The challenges are called 20 Days of Dares. These challenges have mobilized the enthusiasm of students who participate. The success of their donation is not only a miracle, but also the result of the hard work of all event participants. If you want to know more about Tigerthon, you can follow them, their Instagram page, at @TU_Tigerthon. Tigerthon has started accepting applications as of April 4th to become a Tigerthon member for next year.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this very special interview on Newswave, Trinity University's student news broadcast on campus station Tiger TV. My name is Danny Nguyen, class of 2024, and here with me today is the 19th president of Trinity University, President Danny Anderson. President Anderson, thank you for being here.
It's a pleasure to be here, and Happy New Year. This is an interesting start to 2021.
Happy New Year, sir. So actually, speaking of the New Year's, reflecting back to 2020, what did you learn and what was such an eventful year?
2020 is the most unique year that I think I have ever lived. And over the winter break, I had several people ask me things about what day stands out for you. And I keep remembering that Wednesday, March 13th, when we both made the decision and announced the decision that we were going to quickly go to remote and that we would not have students living on campus. I know that as I've spoken with different people, there's often a belief that we had been working on that for weeks, but given the lack of information that we had and the speed in which we felt like we needed to react, those decisions and announcements happened very fast with very little time to plan them. And so when I look back, the thing that really amazes me, and it continued after that, is that one, it really does take an entire community to be successful. I was just so impressed by the dedication of faculty and staff. And even though there were many complaints from some students, quickly there was an understanding that we were doing things to promote the health and safety of our entire community. So that sense of agility is something that I'd say is new in higher ed. The other thing would be thinking about structures. As we moved into this period, most universities have an emergency response structure, but you're typically dealing with an emergency that lasts just for a day. And this was something that we couldn't predict how long, and it was taking weeks and months. And so we had to quickly think about how can we reorganize ourselves and honor the sense of shared governance within a university, but also find a way to really live through this global pandemic. And so we created work groups that included faculty, staff, and administration. And we just worked together on making things work. And we realized we needed a central group to help coordinate decisions. So we created an organization we called the Nerve Center that connected this network of work groups that were all doing this work remotely. And we were able to really build a new structure for thinking about how we make decisions. And I'd say the last thing for me, and I think about this one a lot, is how do you make decisions in a context of uncertainty? Usually we gather data, we have information, we use that to make plans. And throughout this pandemic, there has been a large climate of uncertainty about the disease itself, when treatments would change, how testing would work, uncertainty about the economic ripple effects. There's a word that's often used called VUCA to describe different kind of contexts, talking about things being volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And I'd say we live that. And so learning to think about how do you try to be effective in a context that really has maximum uncertainty is something that I just say we really learn to think about judgment and decisions in a very new way.
Fortunately, there is a glimmer of hope in the end because there is good news. The COVID-19 vaccines are currently rolling out steadily, with vaccines from Pfizer and Moderna currently being distributed, and other vaccines from places such as AstraZeneca and Johnson & Johnson still in clinical trials. Moreover, Trinity University actually has applied to be a vaccine distribution site. So what does this vaccine mean for Trinity, and could this lead to perhaps a return to normalcy?
So the vaccine is huge in everything that we think about what is going to happen in the year ahead of us. One of the things that I notice is my own father was able to get the vaccine, I think it was December 27th. And the sense of excitement and emotion as you watch people get the first dose of the vaccine, I've heard other people, healthcare providers, frontline workers in the fight against the disease, talking about getting the vaccine. And there's a genuine sense of relief and emotion around this, unlike something that I have seen in prior moments in my lifetime. The other thing that I think about the vaccine is that, here we are at a university where we focus on research and learning and knowledge. And this vaccine is a real testimony to what science and research can do. And at a time when we have so many people who debate the value of college, or they debate the importance of this kind of work, the fact that a vaccine has been developed so quickly is a real testimony to all of that research that people have been doing and building up and now have a great opportunity to apply. And for Trinity specifically, the vaccine is a wonderful way to think about what is our pathway back to a much more normal operating plan. I don't know when during the course of the year 2021 we will be able to quit wearing face masks. The fact that some people get the vaccine doesn't mean that we're ready to quit doing all of the things that protect us. But right now, just watching that slow march forward and looking to the day when the vaccine becomes available to educators, staff members, university students to think about what will it be like once we all have a greater sense of confidence that we are not at risk of transmitting the disease or of catching the disease from someone else. I think that will allow us to return to a much greater sense of freedom in our interactions and start doing things that we all would really like to do. And our hope is that fall 2021 is going to feel much more like a normal semester, where we'll have students living in double occupancy in residence halls. We'll have everyone back on campus doing classes face to face, and there will be that genuine sense of community that has been so strained by the remote work. And I think that the other thing for me that I really do encourage people to keep reading and listening and thinking about is there is still a lot of uncertainty about the vaccine. We don't know whether we'll need annual vaccines. Is this a once-in-a-lifetime vaccine, or will that be an evolving process? But it does mean that we all need to think much more proactively about our individual responsibility in our own health and the way that taking care of our health promotes the health of the community.
That is all the time that we have for today. Thank you to President Danny Anderson for being here. To the Trinity community and beyond, stay safe and stay healthy. This is Danny Nguyen, Newswave 14 reporting.
Last week, we mentioned that the Trinity community is currently mourning a beloved member of the facility services team, Lucia Mendoza. Many people on campus have been expressing their sympathy and support for Mendoza's family. For many members of the Trinity community, they remember Miss Mendoza as a kind and warm-hearted person. Assistant VP for Strategic Communications and Marketing, Michelle Bardanico, says that her department will miss Mendoza's warm and caring presence. That she would always greet people as she completed her work during the day, while also being friendly, talkative, and very kind. Associate Professor of Spanish, Dania Abreu Torres, remembers Lucia for the personal talks they had over both raising two daughters and being mothers. Editor of the Leroy newsletter, Monica Science, was gifted a pair of squirrel and salt and pepper shakers by Lucia. Science notes, quote, "One takes for granted that the times will never end. All I can tell you is that she was much loved, and I'm going to miss her very much." That could be said for the entire Trinity community as well. We will keep you up to date with any information that we obtain. After the break, we'll be getting an update on the active shooter incident in Northwest Austin, plus a look at why the San Antonio Spurs were fined $25,000. Be sure to stay tuned for more.
This is our home. This is our studio, filled with empty seats and cameras waiting to press record again. With remote classes and the COVID-19 pandemic, it's hard not to feel like we've lost a community on campus. When we're not on campus, it's hard to feel home. But home isn't just a place, it's a feeling. And here at Tiger TV, we're bringing that feeling to you. Because while our studio is waiting for us, we haven't stopped bringing you the shows you need. Get involved with some of our diverse programming like Newswave, Studio 21, and The Not So Late Show. Tune in to our YouTube and Vimeo channels if you miss some of the quality campus television programming we make. Just because we're remote, that doesn't mean we're not still together. Because here, home is more than just a place. Home is Tiger TV.
On Sunday, April 18th, Stephen Nicholas Broderick shot and killed 3 people in Northwest Austin. As soon as police received word of the shooting, the community was warned to shelter in place as Broderick remained at large. Broderick, a former deputy for the Travis County Sheriff's Department, has since been arrested after an hours-long manhunt. The victims were 2 women and 1 man who knew each other, so police have called this a domestic incident. A child involved in the incident is now in police custody, but other details are limited at this time. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is recommending that people who received Johnson & Johnson's COVID-19 vaccine should seek immediate medical treatment. Symptoms would include headache, backache, neurological symptoms, abdominal pain, shortness of breath, leg swelling, tiny red spots on the skin, and new or easy bruising. The CDC, along with the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, recommended a pause last week in the use of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine due to a small number of reports of blood clots occurring in people who had received a vaccine. Johnson & Johnson vaccine is still authorized. The pause gives scientists time to review data and determine whether the vaccine is actually linked to the blood clots, and if so, whether recommendations on who should receive it should change. After the San Antonio Spurs won on the road against the Phoenix Suns this past Saturday, the NBA released a statement that the Spurs violated the resting policy after evidently choosing to sit out 3 key players, Jakob Poeltl, DeMar DeRozan, and Patty Mills. Although a $25,000 fine was laid out to the Spurs organization, they secured a win that stopped the Suns' 10-home game win streak. Texans are a step closer to being able to carry a firearm in more places without a license. This debate has begun to heat up amongst Texan lawmakers about whether or not it's a good idea. Here's CNN with the details.
We feel that it would be a danger to the general public, and we're against it.
I don't agree with that stance. I think it's something long overdue here in Texas.
The constitutional carry bill making its way through the Texas Capitol. It would allow Texans 21 or older to carry a handgun without a license. The Houston Police Officers Union, along with other law enforcement agencies, were speaking out against the bill, stating it would make officers' jobs harder and voicing safety concerns.
So we would know who we're stopping, who's going to have a weapon, who's not going to have a weapon, who's trained proficient in that weapon, and who's not. And I think it's very important that when you're talking about people carrying something that will take someone's life, that they have to be trained in that.
Fort Bend County Constable Chad Norvell says while he highly recommends people to get training, he is in support of the constitutional carry bill.
Currently in Texas, you can carry a weapon, obviously, in your house. Most people aren't aware you can carry one in your car without having a license. You can carry a rifle or shotgun anywhere you want in Texas. So it's just, it's almost pointless at this point to say, well, but you can't carry it if you walk outside of your yard without one.
If the bill passes, people would still be restricted from carrying in certain establishments and will have to undergo the background checks and the requirements to buy a handgun.
Remember, finger off the trigger, it's going to stay on the side of the frame. Now,
co-owners of HTX Tactical, who also support the bill, say there are a number of safety tips they always walk through with customers, especially first-time buyers.
like anything you do in life, is education and training. You got to continue to do that.
A rehearsal launch in West Texas was very successful last week. A big success for Jeff Bezos' aerospace company, Blue Origin, announced it successfully completed its 15th consecutive mission to space and back Wednesday. On board was mannequin Skywalker, Blue Origin's test flight dummy. More than 25,000 postcards from Club for the Future also went into space. Club for the Future is a nonprofit founded by Blue Origin. Before the rocket launch, employees rehearsed the procedures astronauts will take during real missions. The personnel simulated getting into and out of the rocket and conducting a series of tests from inside. Coming up, we have a look inside the funeral ceremony for Prince Philip, plus an update on the world of entertainment with Mia. Be sure to stick with us.
We've all been there. Seeing people not follow the rules, watching some wayward citizen breaking the law. Well, not the law, but basically the law. Today, I'm going to show you how to be a COVID superhero. Okay, sound a little weird, but anyways, here are some things that you should watch out for. If you don't represent a household, then you must socially distance. Look at these guys over here. Gotcha. I caught him. When you're indoors, you must always wear a mask. flush, and I don't think she washed her hands. Remember, after using the restroom, wash your hands for at least 20 seconds or sanitize. Oh, hey! And finally, if you have any symptoms of COVID, but you're not really sure what it is, always make sure to stay home! And that's all, folks.
Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, was laid to rest this past Saturday. Here's a CNN with a look inside the ceremony in London.
A final farewell today to His Royal Highness, the Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh. The royal family gathering in a somber ceremony to commemorate the extraordinary life and legacy of the family patriarch.
With grateful hearts, we remember the many ways in which his long life has been a blessing to us.
Casket delivered to St. George's Chapel in a Land Rover he helped design. His son, Prince Charles, and grandsons William and Harry among those following in the processional. COVID restrictions limiting attendance to just 30 guests. Queen Elizabeth II mourning quietly the loss of her husband of 73 years. Prince Philip's personal touches featured throughout the service to reflect his military affiliations and interests, including choral performances he specially commissioned.
Lord High Admiral of the United
Britain's longest-serving consort, then laid to rest in the royal vault beneath the chapel.
Go forth upon thy journey from this world, O Christian soul.
Conclusion to a life of service dedicated to country and family. In London, I'm Sam Abdulaziz.
Rest in peace, Prince Philip. Last Saturday, some beachgoers in Florida caught footage of a plane making an emergency landing. Check out this video. The World War II era plane had a mechanical issue during Cocoa Beach Air Show in Florida Saturday. As you can see, the plane landed in the water right in front of a crowd of beachgoers. Event organizers say rescue personnel were immediately on the scene and the pilot is okay. FAA officials said the pilot was the only one in the aircraft. The FAA also said it will investigate along with the National Transportation Safety Board. We now take it over to Mia for what's new in the world of entertainment.
Thanks, Kyle. Well, I've got a lot of top stories to share with you this week, so stay tuned. To start off, the ACM Awards were this past Sunday. This 2021 event was a huge hit with fans of country music, and several big names made it to the performance stage, including Blake Shelton, Carrie Underwood, and more. There was a face missing from the event, however, due to Luke Bryan receiving a positive COVID test earlier in the week. Even though the star was not able to perform for his fans, he did end up taking home the Entertainer of the Year award, one of the most coveted and prestigious awards of the evening. According to Entertainment Online, Bryan accepted the award via Zoom from his home in Los Angeles and was sorry that he couldn't make it to the event in person. He went on to thank his family in his acceptance speech and promised to resume touring when conditions are safe. What an amazing accomplishment! On a lower note, the royal family is mourning the loss of Prince Philip, who died on Friday, April 9th at the age of 99 years old. According to BBC.com, Westminster Abbey tolled its tenor bell every 60 seconds, ringing in 99 times to honor each year of the late Duke's life. Not only this, but a 41-gun salute took place in many major European cities as well. The funeral service was held on Saturday at St. George's Chapel, where strict COVID guidelines were adhered to. In attendance were senior members of the royal family, relatives, and close friends of the Duke. Notably, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle were in attendance. According to CNN, Queen Elizabeth sat alone as she bid her farewells to her late husband. What a difficult time and loss for many. May the Duke rest in peace. Up next in the world of entertainment, in the summer of 2016, Netflix released the hit show Stranger Things, which instantly gained traction and a large number of devoted followers. Now, nearly 5 years after the first season's release date, fans are eager to learn when the fourth season of the show will be made available. If you are one of those fans, then you will definitely want to hear this. While the fourth season release date was rumored to be scheduled for sometime in 2021, a recent report from What's on Netflix said that Finn Wolfhard, star of the show, has told fans that the date will likely be postponed until sometime in 2022. While this is definitely disappointing to hear, fans should be happy to see the efforts of the producers in maintaining the health of their employees and the quality of their work. In the meantime, all the old seasons are still available to binge on Netflix, and we can expect more content from Stranger Things in the near future. Well, that's all I have for you this week. This has been Mia Hammond, and thank you for joining me here on Entertainment News.
Hey, thanks, Mia. Disney's Animal Kingdom is celebrating the circle of life with a new monkey. This baby mandrill, named Ivy, was born April 10th. She weighs less than 2 pounds. Despite being born so small, mandrills are actually the largest species of monkey. Disney says both Ivy and first-time mom Hazel are healthy and bonding. The infant should start walking in a few weeks. In case you missed Daniela John's gardening tips on tulips, here's another look.
Hi, I'm Daniela John, and let's talk tulips. My mom found these tulip plants propagated in water on sale, so she bought 2 vases. Tulips are a very interesting flower. Although many people equate tulips to the Netherlands, they are actually native to Asia. Tulips are part of the lily family and consist of 150 species. They are said to signal spring as they are one of the first plants to begin to bloom. Unfortunately, tulips only bloom for 3 to 7 days. However, if you cut the stem from the bulb, the flowers will survive for a little longer. As you can see, my tulips flowered and wilted very quickly. We removed the stem and began drying the bulbs for a few days to plant in our yard. Here we have some sunflowers growing under our bird feeder. If they get picky, they'll throw the seeds, providing us with new blooms. Call upon your canine helpers and begin digging a hole of about 8 inches. Then you can cover your bulbs with dirt and hope for a bloom early next spring.
And that's all we have for you folks this week on Newswave. Make sure to tune in next Friday for all your news updates. I'm Connerson signing off. Have a good weekend.